folks, it's Ben. Well, this thing is back again. We've got our 2005 Pontiac Wave, which would be equivalent to a 2005 Chevy Aveo, stateside more likely. Less likely a Pontiac Wave. Why it's back here is a air conditioning blower motor, I guess if you want to call it that. The one that puts air on the vents and everything is MIA. It's left the chat. So I guess our big issue is we've got zero fan control on it here. Conveniently though, it should be just underneath the dash component here. The biggest thing I'm going to need is a voltmeter. Is that on the inside or out? It's on the outside. Cool. So I'm going to go grab a voltmeter and then we're going to do some testing because I think each component costs about $70. There's a fan, a resistor module, and the switch. The actual fuse for this is off the ignition, so if the car runs, it's fine too. So we've got to figure out, is it the blower? Is it the resistor? Probably gonna have to change them both anyway. Or is it this guy, more of a pain? Alrighty, let's turn it to on. Turn the radio off because we don't need unlicensed material. Got our unit on something, that's fine. Recirc, don't want that. Heat all the way. Is that electric? Can't tell. Anyway. I hear clicking. So that's a good sign that it's not the switch, and that's convenient because that's probably the worst thing to change. So we have knob turnage, but we don't have anything down below here. So let's turn it back off again. And let's get to the ground here. I have a flashlight? Yes, I do actually. See, we're right here, bam. So we have our fan motor here, and then there's a resistor pack right there. So those are our two components actually. If any of those are in focus, which they probably aren't. So our fan plug is right here, so we can just wiggle this out or squeeze it out or however quick connect it is. I'll show you when we get it out. We'll hang it down here and we'll throw the voltometer on it. Okay, so the plug is out and you can see it's just, you got to push the little tab on the side that puts that little clip in and you can wiggle it out. You can't put it wrong because there's a sideways plug and an up and down plug. So it only goes in and comes out one way. Let's go back to turning the car on. And the fan is currently on. Not all the way. We're not looking for 100% voltage at this point. So then we need to take our voltmeter, which I've got my analog connected to these leads at the moment. But so what we're looking for here is any sort of voltage. That the fan is getting power, but it's not spinning, and that would diagnose us as bad. So we'll come over here, and that was a good sign because it moved a little bit. It's hard to keep this thing. You only have one hand because of the camera. I think most YouTubers who fix cars understand that problem. Quit moving on me. There we go. So come over to the voltmeter here. We're on the 50 volt setting, and we're getting 12 volts here. So that means that we are getting power to the meter. Interestingly enough, when we go to 100% power, we lose it again. So that's not cool. That means that at 100% power, which we're bypassing the resistor completely, we lose our voltage. So at this point, it would only work on 1 through 4, not actually on 5. So that's a neat little tidbit to know. So what do we... And nothing on that one. So our 9 o'clock is. So on our 3 fan settings that aren't go, we have voltage coming to it, so that doesn't really tell us a whole lot. Except that the switch is working, so we've got 100% confirmation on that. Now there's a clicking relay that's got to be in the system somewhere when we... I'll plug this one back in because I think we know where the voltage input into that is good. And this is good. We just can't get our little guy to go here. I wonder if we pound the hell out of it with a hammer, if that'll do anything. Let me go grab a little persuader. Let's plug this fan back in. So we know it's not going to do anything on high. But we know we can get out of 4. Let's take our rubber persuader here. Hey, how about them apples? Not very happy. High speed's gone. The next step is to find out why is our fuse, or why is 4 not working, which is an all-out run. So we have 3, 2, 1, but we don't have 4. And if you hear that click actually comes over here, and it's not really there. And you can just actuate it back and forth and put your finger on it, and you can feel that it's this one actuating. Now, as far as I can tell, At least my assumption was, can you turn off please? There was no, it uses the ignition system fuse, and if you look through this list here, there's no actual AC blower system, air conditioning blowing system fuses. But under the hood there is, believe it or not. So I was kind of led astray on that. If you come down to the, we're in the motor compartment now. Right here we have an HVAC blower 30 amp fuse. I pull it and sure enough, it's blown out. So that's less cool. Mostly because there's no spare except power windows. This car has power windows? It does not have power windows. So if we yank the power window fuse, what else are we crippling? Well, we're about to find out by sticking that in there. Let's just blow all the fuses in this thing, right? So with that, we should have, if we don't blow it immediately, high speed. There we go. We had a dead fuse. So now that we have that figured out, we need to replace this fuse because the power windows we don't have, we'll need them. But I don't know what else is on this circuit. Could be important. Tough to say, right? In fact, I should probably put this back because I don't know what other systems are connected to it. And this is the bad one. We're not going to put it back because I need it to reference in order to know what to buy. And we need a blower motor because it did die. I had to use a hammer to get it going again, which is never good. That's not the way it's supposed to run. So let's go back to our customer. She'll get us a blower motor and a fuse, and we'll put it all back together again, and we'll see how it goes. A few days later, here we are. We've got our new fuse, which is a 30 amp. Looking for part numbers? There you go. FMX 30 amp. I do not know what they call that. It's a J case or something or other. And then this should be, it's an unboxing video. Our blower motor, black, heater tube, single plug, perfect. So it looks like we're going to be looking at 3 10mm bolts that hold this thing in. And we got this tube which we can choose to use or not. It just uses some of the air from the blower to cool the motor down. So not mission critical. You need to install it, but if you put a new one in or not, it doesn't matter. So let's grab this and our socket with the 10 on it and a flashlight. And if I was smart, a tripod. And oh yeah, since we're going to be kneeling beside the car, we'll bring a mat too because it's snowy out there. And I'll meet you at the car. In the car, we are passenger wheel well and just look up. Interestingly enough, the bolts that hold this on are actually Phillips or 8mm, so we've got 3 of those to undo. But the connections we need to actually physically undo from the motor before we pull it is the hose that I mentioned for cooling, which isn't really held on except for friction. So you can just wiggle that back and forth until it comes off. And then, as we did earlier in this video, on this plug, there's just a press in on the side and it'll let go. And then I'm gonna undo those bolts and we'll dig the new one out. I'll bring it back for that. Bolts are on the ground. Everything's unconnected. Boom. There you go. Hopefully these guys are the same. They look the same. So that's convenient. One's black and one isn't. No biggie there. Doesn't look like there's a gasket or anything that's going to carry across. And while you're here, you can see the resistor. The resistor pack is right there. That thingy that's, if I can get in front of my camera, right there. That's the resistor pack. So if we had an issue with that, that would actually would come out. I'm going to actually use the camera to take a peek up here. Nothing really to see here. So installation is reversal of removal. How many times have you heard that before? So we are just gonna take our fan motor, different plug collector now. Instead of being plugged to the motor, it's actually got a pigtail. So that's actually a nice thing. And cram wiggles, cram. Bam, line up your, they're actually pins, I didn't see that line up the bolt holes just right. So now we can go ahead and put our screws back in and plug everything back in again. So I will meet you when I've done that. With all the bolts in place, we're good to go in that regard. Hint, see that pin that's right there? And there's 3 pins obviously to hold the whole thing in. You're gonna have to push up against those a little harder than you might want to get it so that you can get your screws to land in the holes. What I was finding is that one went in fine, that one went in fine. The one on the back, I had to push it up hard so that I could get enough threading for my screw to actually bite in, because they're actually not that thick. Now, I took this little bit of pipe off, the old one, and I figured, well, while I got the new one, might as well put it on. And let's see how that goes. It looks like it's a hair small, but maybe that's because it's supposed to be tight. And it's rubbery too. That fits on the motor easy, like so. And then it just bends up, and it's just a little bit of air for the motor so it doesn't get too hot. There we go. Well, it goes on like so. Now the motor, it doesn't look as cool as the original one, to be honest with you, but it does the job. And then we have our plug from our car, our plug from our fan. It's even built for the clip. Just snap them together. I can't do both, so hold on one sec. So there's our connection, and we'll stuff this up here so nobody kicks it. So that's it. That's the physical part of that fan installation. We can probably check it out. We don't have our high speed on yet. We still got to replace the fuse for that. But the keys are here. So we can come over here, grab the keys, turn the car to on. Fan is off, so we can go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll have nothing because we're going to the relay. So that's successful, but let's open up the hood and switch out the fuse. So our fuse is in our little container, but our fuse holder is under the hood. Under the hood, we've got our power supply fuse box here. So we'll undo that, get that aside, and then we'll take our fuse. And I don't think there's a up or down, it's just an on. Push that in there. That should be our 30 amp fuse. If you remember on our chart, that's that one. Let's stick that back on. I put it on the right way. Is there a right way? No. That's all you need to do under the hood. Let's go inside and test it. Alrighty, so we're in. Car is now turned on. We have low, high, or 2, 3, and here's the final one, 4. Perfect. So it's fixed. So that's how you repair the blower motor issue, although how you diagnose it in general, and then we replace the fan. This is a 2005 Pontiac Wave, but it will work for 2005 era style of Chevy Aveo as well. If you got any questions, ask them, comments like you've done this repair before, or you have any type of repair like this. Feel free to comment below and subscribe to my channel, Turbo231, for more exciting car videos. Man, it's cold. Man, my fingers are frozen. Let's get inside. You guys have a good day.